Superstars, how's it going? This is Coach Wood, and we are back for another amazing week of content, you guys. Last week was a huge week. It was draft week, and we're about to get into that topic. But hopefully, you guys had a great weekend, depending on when you're seeing this. This is the Before You Go Pro channel. So if you're joining us for the very first time, this is where we're going to cover all of the football specifics, the top topics, the strategies. This is a strategic channel, you guys, for the young football players, the families of football players, and the coaches out there. So if that's you, you are in the place to be. Today we are going to talk about Diego Pavia and the reason he did not get drafted, ended up going free agent to the Baltimore Ravens. So at least he got his foot in the door. But we're gonna talk about why he didn't get drafted for you young athletes out there. But before we get into today's topic, you guys, make sure if this is your first time, especially, and you have not hit that subscribe button already, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you like the content that you're hearing today, so that you're notified whenever we release new content on behalf of Before You Go Pro. If you've been rocking with us, you definitely should have already hit that button. And then also check out what we have for you down in the description box as far as resources for you young athletes out there. So let's get into today's topic, you guys. Obviously, a lot of you young athletes were locked into the draft. I have watched the draft for years. It's must-see TV to Coach Wood, because you get to see an inside look, you guys, at how hard some of these young men have fought for this opportunity. You get to see the love from their family. This is a family win, a huge family win for these kids and their loved ones, their friends, you guys. A lot of them have been there for the whole journey. So it's just an overcoming of emotions and just a great opportunity to see these young men fulfill their dreams. And many of you guys have the same dreams. So we also have to learn from the bad stuff. We also have to learn from the bad stuff, you guys. And unfortunately, SEC superstar Vandy Commodore Diego Pavia, quarterback, did not get drafted. This was kind of a weaker year for quarterbacks in the eyes of most scouts. He did not get drafted. Ended up taking a mini camp opportunity with the Baltimore Ravens. Many people feel that he got snubbed. Many people feel that it was justified what happened to Diego Pavia. A little reminiscent of what we saw happen to Shedeur Sanders a year before, you guys, but obviously he got drafted late by the Browns. But why do you believe that Diego Pavia did not get drafted? We have already done some content on this particular topic. This was before the draft, and in that video, I said I did not think that he was going to get drafted. And this is a very, very good opportunity for you young athletes out there to understand how this business works. This business has a certain flow to it. It has a certain protocol to it. And if you are not living by that, then you have to be an exceptional talent for you to still get where you're trying to go. And unfortunately, Diego is not that talent to be able to kind of buck the system a little bit, kind of draw outside the lines, and still get what he wanted. So let's talk about some of the key areas where I felt Diego Pavia went wrong. Now, let's not get it twisted, you guys. Diego Pavia is definitely a great football player, you guys. Now, he may be a great college football player. If he can become a great NFL player or even a good NFL professional player, that's yet to be seen. Hopefully, he really does get a chance to show what he's got. And if he can do it, then maybe somebody will give him a roster spot on the 53, on the practice squad or something. But He was a phenomenal college player, and if you're saying otherwise, then maybe you weren't watching good enough, or maybe you're just hating on Diego. But he was a phenomenal college football player, you guys. A matter of fact, looking over his track record, looking over his football resume, man, he's always been a winner. He was 11-0, undefeated, was a champion in high school his senior year. He goes on to a military institute in New Mexico, which is basically a junior college. He wins the national championship there. He goes on to New Mexico State, where he gets them to a bowl game. He's the MVP in that bowl game. He's a top newcomer in the SEC. And then he goes on this year, you guys, to almost get them to the playoffs and become a semifinalist, or a finalist in the Heisman running. He's a runner-up in the Heisman, you guys. So this is a very talented young man. He's the last Heisman Trophy winner to not get drafted since 2014, and many people think he got snubbed. So why do you really think that Diego Pavia didn't get drafted? Well, first and foremost, if you are not prototypical for what they're looking for at your position, off the top, they're going to try to discount some of your production, or try to discount some of the things that maybe they think you can do in the NFL and in the future. They're always looking for a discount. You guys know discount shoppers in your life. There is no discount shopper like the NFL. They're always looking for discounts, you guys. So if they feel any place when they're evaluating you, if they see any place that they can get a markdown, get the price reduction on you and your value, they definitely will. All right, because that adds value to their side of the transaction. That adds value to their side of the bargain. So if you are not prototypical as far as your size, which Diego Pavia isn't, if you ever seen him in person, he's probably in that 5'10", 5'11" range. So by no means is he prototypical as an NFL quarterback. So right off the top, that's an easy discount. It's an easy markdown for them. So reason number one that he did not get drafted is because of his physical stature. Reason number two, you guys, and this is the biggest one. This is the coup de grace for him, because he performed at a very high level conference. So you know he performed against many guys who were drafted this past weekend. So you know that he can play against big time competition, and he can play in big time games. He can perform with the best of them. You know his teammates love him, because he's had many teammates say that they are willing to go to bat for him. But the biggest thing, and this was the same thing with Shedeur Sanders the year prior, is they had a tremendous fumble. They had a tremendous failure in their camp as far as PR. A tremendous failure as far as PR. When you talk PR, and when you talk about trying to get to the top of your craft, to the top of your industry, especially something as competitive as football, and especially something that is considered the entertainment industry. When you are trying to get to the top of the entertainment industry, everything on the PR side has to be squeaky clean. It has to be airtight. It has to be strategic. And with Shedeur and Diego Pavia, there was a lack of reading the tea leaves. A lack of reading the tea leaves. With Shedeur, it was that I think his camp felt like he was on a higher level than the NFL felt like he was at. The way that he was moving, the way that he was not performing at the combine, was not performing at the All-Star games, he was moving like it was a done deal. He was moving kind of like Pavia had the right to move this off season. Not Pavia, Fernando Mendoza. You see how his PR is. You see how people basically usher him in as a four-star general that's really ready to take an organization to the top and be respected amongst men. They did not treat Shedeur Sanders that way because of the way he was rolling pre-draft. It was real, I've already made it, and this is a done deal. And the NFL wanted to show him it wasn't a done deal. And obviously, you know that his dad was his agent, and that didn't go so well. With Diego Pavia, he was his own agent, and the PR from the Heisman ceremony on was terrible for him. He was dissing everybody. It was FU to Indiana. It was FU to the Heisman voters. He was telling people that he's going to be his own agent because he doesn't want anybody taking any of his money and dipping in his pocket. It was just real brash, and it was real, once again, PR nightmarish. It was PR nightmarish, you guys, because he didn't have anybody really reading the room. He didn't have anybody that was telling him, hey, taper it down. Hey, maybe go about it this way. Why don't you give some kudos to the other people that you're competing against with this Heisman Trophy with? Why don't you find a way to get on the good side of these GMs, these scouts, and these coaches? For whatever reason, his team, or maybe it was he didn't have a team. He wanted to do everything himself. But for whatever reason, there was not a true understanding of how he was perceived amongst the college or amongst the NFL personnel. For some reason, nobody in his camp really got a bead, which is amazing to me because there's been articles about how people feel about him and how they felt he was a little cocky and a little brash. It's just interesting that did not get tapered down during the draft process, especially after how people were talking about him during the Heisman ceremony and not being happy with how he was conducting himself. So for that to not get fixed during the draft process, you get what you get. You get what you get. There's something called talent tolerance. And once you are bucking the system, once you are coloring out the lines for a multi-billion-dollar industry like the NFL, the Shield, they're going to show you who the boss is. They're going to show you who the boss is. Your talent has to be extremely better if you want to color outside the lines. And when you look at a Shedeur Sanders last year and just how he's got the hype machine behind him, and you know there's brands coming out every other day, and there's music videos and all of that, that's outside the lines. Outside the lines is fine, but your talent better be way up here. Your talent better be slam dunk way up here where they just cannot resist. Diego Pavia coloring outside the lines, telling everybody F you, and telling everybody that basically you're the man and you know what you're doing, and just having that type of cocky vibe to you, that's fine. You can do that, but your talent better be up here. So this is very big for all of you athletes out there, you family members of athletes who are watching over these young men and trying to help guide their careers. Nobody's bigger than the industry. Nobody's bigger than the team. Nobody's bigger than the system. There's already a protocol in place for how you need to move. How you need to move if you want to be an NFL quarterback. How you need to move if you want to be a Heisman Trophy winner. How you need to move if you want to be drafted. There's already a protocol. There's already a blueprint. There's already a template. You know the schools. You know the things you need to say to the media. You know how you need to show up on the field. There's already a template. These two men drew outside the lines, which is fine. We're not used to seeing NFL draft picks with music videos, a la Shador Sanders. We're not used to seeing potential NFL draft picks saying "F you" to the Heisman Trophy voters. We're not used to that. That's outside the lines. So if you're going to draw outside the lines, you young football players that are trying to get to the scholarship, you young football players that are trying to go from college to the NFL, that's fine. Just realize you better be damn good on the field. You better be damn good on the field. All right. So that is why Diego Pavia did not get drafted, you guys. For one, he is not prototypical as far as what they're looking for. So if you're not prototypical, we can easily say, hey, you do not fit what we're looking for. But the main reason, and maybe an NFL team won't come out and say this, but the main reason is because he was a PR nightmare. He did not do anything good for himself in the stance of PR, in the stance of likability, in the stance of, you got to keep in mind, you got to be likable for somebody to give you a job. This is a job. This is corporate. You got to be likable for us to want you in the building. And if you're rubbing people wrong before you even get in the building, then you better be damn good. You better be money on the field. And they're just not sold on him like that. There's too many people waiting by the phone. So you young athletes, remember this. Likability can take you far. It could give you a job that was going to go to somebody else. Likability. All right. So, hey, I'm Coach Wood. We've got an amazing week scheduled for you this week. So let's rock and roll, baby. Let's get after it. Hit that subscribe button. Check out those resources. And I'll see you at the top. Have a good one.